This is going to be a video exposing a 7th grade teacher that apparently visited Antarctica. Many signs of fakery, many psyops, many Kabbalistic, occult signs and symbols, and fakery and mockery will be exposed. You can see by the name of this channel that there's this heavy symbolism when it comes to 7. Aleister Crowley wrote a book titled 777 and Other Kabbalistic Writings. 7 is a big hoax number in the occult. Now, reading the description of this 7th grader's channel, you can see that their goal is to visit all 7 continents, or that was their goal, right? They say they love visiting UNESCO World Heritage Sites and the 7 wonders of the world. So we already have 3 sevens just based on the channel description and the channel name.
Welcome back. Time now 6:52, 41 degrees. Social studies, language arts, and economics.
Yeah, this week's Teacher of the Week can do it all while building some great relationships with her students. But as we found out, Michelle O'Leary does have a favorite subject, that is.
On this particular globe, we have the purple line.
Exploring the world without leaving the classroom.
180 degrees. Connects the North and the South Pole.
7th grade social studies teacher Michelle O'Leary loves to pass on her lifelong passion for geography.
Zanzibar is just that, it's that tiny little island?
Zanzibar is the
That's
island.
It.
Yes, that's it. I was one of those kids that spent Sunday afternoon laying on the floor of my parents' home with one of those big, huge National Geographics and just flipping through. Let's get started on our daily geography for today.
Her class has just begun its year-long world tour by first mapping out Alaska.
Don't forget about that legend. You got to remember the legend.
And the compass rose.
Compass rose is right here, and I drew it in like a diamond shape, so like it looks like it's an actual compass.
Okay.
Many of these 7th graders
Okay.
Many of these 7th graders are still getting their bearings in Alaska. Miss O'Leary says 50 to 60% of the students at Greening are military kids who come from the outside, just like her.
Now they are saying that this random 7th grade social studies or geography teacher at a middle school is ex-military, teaching a class of roughly 60% military kids, military families. Is this a school where they are teaching crisis actors how to run psyops on the population? Is that what is going on at this middle school that's featured in this fake news story? Because if you look into the relationship and ties that the military has with the film industry and Hollywood and psyops, then you might start connecting the dots.
I grew up in northern Alberta in Canada.
She moved to the lower 48 for college, joined the U.S. Army, and was eventually stationed in Alaska. After the Army, she worked for 8 years in the business field, but craved a profession she could be more passionate about.
And I was coaching my daughter's soccer team at the time and found that I really enjoyed working with kids. And I've really found my niche with middle schoolers, actually. It's kind of fun teaching 12 and 13-year-olds. Directly to the right, it's the little one.
She says the secret to her success is willfully taking on the challenge of helping them grow into adulthood.
I see that as a great opportunity, and hopefully I can provide a little bit of guidance, a little bit of support in helping them be more independent learners, independent decision makers as they start to learn how to do that in their teenage years.
Their personal compass as they map out their lives. After class, I presented Michelle O'Leary with her Teacher of the Week certificate to a round of exuberant, genuine applause. Aside from her classroom duties, I learned Michelle also chairs the school's Social Studies Department. She's a co-sponsor of Student Government, teaches weight training after school, and is Greening's School Business Partner Coordinator. So she wears a lot of hats.
Yeah, she does.
So it's very cool. You saw those two. There were two maps in the back of the class, and there were a lot of flags in there. Those are for all the kids. So she has 3 different periods of geography, and the places that they've been, their flag goes in the map, and it's a way for all of them to learn a little bit about each other and share their world traveling experiences.
Very cool.
She's gone on to teach in or to. Not student teach, but teachers go, they get lessons in other countries. She's been to Japan, she's been to China, she's been to Germany. She's looking to go elsewhere. She's a world traveler. She brings that back on into the classroom. Yeah, so
awesome
if you'd like to
stuff.
nominate an educator you know, just like Michelle, log on to KTVA 11's main Facebook page and click on the Teacher of the Week tab or click on the On Air Links tab at ktva.com.
Hey, Greening Middle School. Welcome back to the 2018-2019 school year, and especially welcome to all the new 7th graders who are joining the Greening Colts this year. I wanted to take a second and introduce myself. My name is Miss O'Leary, and you have not seen me around the school this year because I am taking a 1-year sabbatical, which means taking a year off of work to travel. I have been a geography teacher for several years at Greening with Mrs. Behringer and Mr. Stout, and I'm missing them a lot this year. So we've decided to do a little partnership over the year. I'm going to be traveling to the 3 continents I've not yet been to. So right now I'm in Australia. I'm in the rainforest area up in Queensland in the north of Australia. Next I'm going to be going to New Zealand and then Antarctica, and then back up through South America, then Antarctica, and then back up through South America, and then. Hey everyone, my name is Michelle. I'm a geography teacher from Alaska, and I'm not teaching this season. I'm actually in Antarctica this year, working here at one of the science research stations. My partner teacher did a really cool project with her students in which they recreated the Antarctic flag, and I've got a whole bunch of flags here, and I wanted to use those flags to do something really interesting. And a lot of people pay a lot of money for this kind of a trip. There's cruise ships here in town right now. We have one right outside of our door, and sometimes when they come into town, we give passengers on these ships a tour.
Now, this is the cruise ship that Miss O'Leary is referring to in her fake video. Ross Sea, including helicopters, Ushuaia to Bluff, New Zealand, as in, are you willing to call their bluff on this hoax cruise ship? Is that what it's referring to? And of course, it is a 33-day cruise aboard the Ortelius. Now, O-R in basic numerology, where A is 1 and Z is 26, OR equals 33. So OR is another big hoax code. The state abbreviation for Oregon is OR, and Oregon is the 33rd state, for instance. Also, it is at Ross C, RO, again, OR 33. Now, if you look at the description for this cruise ship, this is your ultimate chance to sail to the southern parts of the Antarctic Peninsula, Peter Island. And there you see it, Antarctica Peninsula, Peter Island, the PP. What is the Peter in reference to? The Peter is in reference to the PP. The Bellingshausen, I believe, and Amundsen Seas into the Ross Sea, visiting Shackleton and Scott's huts, McMurdo Station, the Dry Valleys, and Campbell Island. Campbell Island Island. I wonder why they repeated that word twice. The 33-day voyage offers opportunities to explore Antarctica by air, with transfers to and from the ship in helicopters aboard the ice-class vessel Ortelius. Okay, and of course we understand the obvious connections with 33 and Freemasonry. That would be remedial to explain at this point. But you can clearly see the 33 hoax code, the PP, all of it is front and center, these signs and symbols, these hoax codes. It is also interesting to note here that the cruise ship Ortelius was once part of the Russian Academy of Sciences ships, and Miss Leary works in Alaska, which used to be part of Russia. Is there some sort of larger psyop going on here involving America and Russia and fakery surrounding Antarctica, the globe, the international dateline, and so on?
So I'm going to give you guys a tour of McMurdo Station using some of these flags and help you get to see what cruise ship passengers see and what we get to experience every day. So I hope you enjoy this tour of McMurdo Station in Antarctica. All right, so welcome to one of the official stops, the McMurdo Station sign here at McMurdo Station in Antarctica. Behind me we have an extra special treat, the Polar Star, which is the U.S. heavy icebreaker that is here to help open up the channel, which has already done its work. You can see the ocean is wide open, and it escorts our resupply vessels in and out. I chose this flag by Clara to represent this stop because she included a penguin and some stars and the ocean. And we've had a lot of really awesome wildlife this year. In fact, right along this section one morning, there were a bunch of penguins just hanging out, wandering around, having a good time. So let me give you a couple facts about McMurdo. It was established in 1955 during Operation Deep Freeze, and it is the logistics hub for a lot of the scientific research that happens in Antarctica for the U.S. Research Station. So we have field camps that are out on the continent, out at South Pole, out at Waste Divide, and spending the Thwaites Glacier. Most of that traffic comes through here, through McMurdo Station. It was named for Lieutenant Archibald McMurdo, who was on James Clark Ross's 1841 expedition. So welcome to McMurdo. Let's go to the next stop. Okay, welcome to the next stop on our tour, the building we call the Chalet. It's the only building on station that looks like a ski chalet.
Now, would these people so blatantly put the truth in your face? Is the chalet at McMurdo Station an actual ski chalet? is it partially or mostly true, perhaps, that McMurdo Station is a ski resort for these community-based agents, otherwise known as crisis actors? Now, when you look at the maps, the Google Maps, the Microsoft Maps that they provide to us, you will see that at McMurdo Station, there are many larger and smaller roads surrounding the station. Now, when you do a close-up on the geography, the topography, what's going on at McMurdo Station, you will see these roads. And when you do a close-up on the roads, you will come across, of course, Main Street, the station, where the buildings are, Ross C, Scott's Base, I believe, and you will also see other hills or even what you could call mountains that are listed on the maps. Now, when you do a close-up on these maps, you will find a small road that is called Castle Rock Loop. And there is also a Castle Rock Hill, I believe. And of course, it is a popular theory that Castle Rock is a film studio where Biden serves his fake presidency. But besides that, you will see Castle Rock Loop, and if you keep going down the road of Castle Rock Loop from the main station, main street at McMurdo Station, you will eventually come across what is called Kiwi Ski Slope. Now, of course, Kiwi is in reference to New Zealand, and now you will see in a bit that New Zealand apparently has a claim to this area around McMurdo Station. So is this a ski resort for Kiwis, also known as New Zealanders? It is all very suspicious. I will also make note of the fact that according to Google and these other search engines, when you search McMurdo Station, they will tell you that McMurdo Station is permanently closed. It will say closed or permanently closed, even though, according to them, it is a research station that is operational and open year round. It is supposed to be a year round station that houses upwards of almost 1,000 people in the summer. Yet, according to these websites, McMurdo Station is permanently closed, and it is designated as a possession of New Zealand, effectively. Now, is this confirmation that McMurdo Station is a ski resort that is either open now or closed, or some sort of a closed film set or stage set for hoaxing PSYOP events? It is also interesting to take note here that Miss O'Leary is wearing what appears to be a red ski jacket and a winter ski hat. And you will also see instances of that coming up here with the other so-called employees at the station that seem to be wearing winter ski clothing.
I chose this flag from Olivia for this stop. One thing I really liked about the symbolism in her flag is that she has a penguin inside of a penguin, which for her symbolizes how people in Antarctica protect wildlife, which is definitely an important part of the Antarctic Treaty and rules that we have to live by here on the continent. So, a little about the chalet. It is the headquarters building for the National Science Foundation, which is the organization that administers the United States Antarctic program. This is also the building that I've been working in this year, so I get to live in this building every single day. It was built in 69 to 70, and come around back. It's really neat. So welcome to one of the most picturesque spots here on station. A lot of people love to come to these flags that surround the bust of Admiral Byrd and get a picture. These 12 flags represent the original 12 countries that signed the Antarctic Treaty back in 1959. And Admiral Byrd was the first person to fly over the South Pole. He actually had a really well-known Alaskan with him at that same time, Norman Vaughan, who wrote this book, With Byrd at the Bottom of the World. It's a really great read about their adventures as they camped out on the ice shelf just a few hundred miles from here and then took a flight across to South Pole. So welcome to the beautiful view of the chalet. It's been really great working in this building this year because I get this view every day. Welcome to the Chapel of the Snows, our next stop on our station tour. I chose this flag submitted by Z because it has a nice beautiful snowflake on it, and that is represented in the name of this chapel, the Chapel of the Snows. So let me tell you a little bit about the history of this building. It was first built during Operation Deep Freeze in 1956, but the first two chapels built down, and so the third and current building structure was built in 1988 to 1989. Let's go inside and take a look.
Now you can see further 7 symbolism and further occult government agent symbolism on the building here on the left of the chapel of the church. 007 as in secret agent. It's a hoax code. And of course, everyone is familiar with James Bond, 007, secret government agent running PSYOPs. And what is the name of this channel? Pursuing 7. Miss O'Leary wants to see all 7 continents, all 7 wonders of the world. She's teaching 7th grade. Aleister Crowley, 777, and other Kabbalistic writings. James Bond, 007. Connect the obvious dots of this occult symbolism, of this government symbolism. Special agent, MI5, CIA, 007.
So welcome to the Chapel of the Snows. This is a really pretty building with lots of different artwork from different religious
backgrounds so that people can come here and have a peaceful place to come and celebrate their faith. There's a gorgeous stained glass piece with an Antarctic continent in the middle. And there are definitely sections here for multiple different religions to be able to practice their faith. There's also, quite commonly, you'll find someone playing at the piano, practicing their music. People will come in here and play guitar. And there's a lot really vibrant music scene here in Antarctica, and it's great that they can have a nice quiet place to practice their music. And of course, at the back, we have some penguins. Welcome to Observation Hill and the next stop on our tour. I chose this flag by Joshua because he included a mountain on it, and for him that symbolizes exploration of Antarctica. So let's take a look at Ob Hill. This is a nice hiking trail here in McMurdo. At the top is a cross for Robert Scott and 3 of his other fellow expeditioners who died actually on their way back from the South Pole. So there's a nice cross up top. And one thing that's amazing about climbing all the way up top to Ob Hill are the views that you get. So let's take a look at what some of those views might be. So from Ob Hill up top you can see the ocean. Today we have a cruise ship out in the bay actually. And those cruise ship folks are heading out to Hut Point and the peninsula right there. So we have great views of Hut Point from up top. You can also see all the way out to the ice edge, which now the ice is out, but often the ice edge is just past there. And then we can have nice views of town. A lot of people like hiking on this trail. The other thing that you can do is you can log in to www.usap.gov. And if you see this equipment right here, one of those pieces of equipment is a webcam. So if you choose Observation Hill webcam, you'll be able to see what the current conditions are right in McMurdo. McMurdo also has a few workout facilities. This one is fondly known as the Gerbil Gym because it has most of the aerobic equipment. I chose this flag from Ava to feature in this one, a gorgeous picture of an emperor penguin. It's nice that we can all stay healthy and fit while we are down here working. There's actually quite a bit of yoga and other type of fitness activities here in McMurdo, and here sits our flag from Ava right by some yoga blocks. And this is the beloved coffee house, and I chose this flag from Nate because local penguins, aka us McMurdites, really enjoy hanging out here. It's actually essentially 2 Quonset huts put together. You can see our waste sorting system here too. It's 2 Quonset huts put together. It's been here for years and years. Inside it's nice and cozy. People can hang out, play games, and just a nice relaxed coffee house atmosphere. It's actually coming down this next season, so a lot of people are kind of sad about that because it's a really great spot to relax and hang out. So welcome to the Karate Lab. It's our main science lab here at McMurdo Station. I chose this flag from Bree because she included a microscope on here, and really that's our main purpose for being here in Antarctica is science. And I just happened to see one of my science friends.
Hello everyone!
This is Cece. She is going to be staying here all winter studying LIDAR, which is
Light ranging and detection.
Light ranging and detection. So a lot of work in the atmosphere. It's super neat work. There's all sorts of science that happens here. It's a pretty interesting place. So check this out, from Hut Point Peninsula. Look at this super special treat I have for you. I'm heading up one of the hiking trails, going to our next spot. But wow! Oh my goodness. Look at these beauties. If you ever want to see penguin poop, there it is. All the green stuff on the snow. Gosh, there's probably probably 30 or 40 penguins. They're just bedding down. These are Adelie penguins that do live quite close to here in McMurdo Station. What a special treat. Here's some more wildlife along the trail. What a good night. These are skuas. Looks like he's going to take a little nap. So for our next stop, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get all the way up there. I wanted to take you up to Our Lady of the Snows. It's a memorial, and here in McMurdo we call it Roll Cageberry. But there's a bunch of skuas up there, and I can't go up there and shoo them away. So I'm going to do it from right down here. So thank you to Lordell for this flag that was submitted. Their flag represents the vast ocean and sea over which this monument overlooks. It's overlooking the ocean right now and a beautiful mountain range. So a little bit about Our Lady of the Snows. It was built by the Navy to honor Richard Williams, who was a Seabee who lost his life down here in McMurdo. In the early stages of McMurdo Station, it was actually built by the U.S. Navy. So maybe one day you'll get to hike up to Our Lady of the Snows. Welcome to Discovery Hut. This is one of my favorite places here on station. It was built in 1902 by Scott's Expedition and was, I think, the second of these historic huts to be built in this region of Antarctica. Sometimes it's open for tours, and I've led some tours in there. It's pretty neat to see some of the artifacts. I chose this flag from Madeline, and I chose it because on the flag there is a satellite dish, which there's quite a few actually down at South Pole Station that are highly important to astronomy research right now. And inside this hut, there's also actually a pendulum system. And it really just shows that this continent has always been about scientific research. They were very curious in the early explorer days, and we remain curious here today. That's the main reason that McMurdo Station exists, is to be a science research station. Let's take a little walk around Discovery Hut. So as you can see, Discovery Hut is still quite near to McMurdo Station, and it's right at the edge of Winter Quarters Bay. The old explorers just docked their ship here in the bay, and then they used this particular facility for storage, and they used it for plays. And on the outside you can actually still see some of the artifacts, and you can see this poor old seal who has been frozen there for a very long time,
and you can see quite a few of their old pieces of equipment. This is the view tonight, and it's just a wonderfully spectacular evening. Hey, greetings 7th graders, I'm here in Antarctica. It's almost Antarctica Day, December 1st, and I wanted to send you a quick hi before you do your special lesson on that day. I can't wait to see what you come up with when it gets mailed down here to me. That is where I live. That's McMurdo Station. I live in that blue building here in Antarctica. And hopefully I've given you a nice little pano of the station here. That is Observation Hill up there. And out onto the sea ice. Back there in the distance is the Ross Ice Shelf. You'll learn about that in the Antarctic unit. And here is the sea ice. And you'll have to ask about the observation tube. That is pretty cool right there. I got to go under the sea ice. So have fun on Antarctica Day. Bye. Hey everyone!
Now you are going to see in the next section of this video one of the so-called scientists at McMurdo Station that is involved in research of animals on the continent, supposedly. But you will see, based on the reactions, based on the laughing, otherwise known as Duper's delight, that is so commonly seen on the faces of these community-based agents, otherwise known as crisis actors. The smiles and the laughter, the mockery, the duping delight is all over their faces. So without further ado, I will just let you see for yourself and watch them give themselves away.
Hope you're doing well. I am so excited because I got this package from Mrs. Behringer. She's my partner geography teacher in Alaska, and I'm here with Kevin Dickerson, who is in Antarctica with me as part of the Polar Track program. So he's a teacher, and he is partnered up with a science group here called the Worm Herders, who are doing some studying over in the dry valleys. Yeah, do you want to tell us super quick about it, and then I'll share my project with you?
We hop on helicopters and go straight across the ice out there, about a 40-minute helicopter ride to what's known as the dry valleys. It's like the driest part of the driest continent, and we are studying the most numerous animals, land animals out there, and they are little microscopic worms and tardigrades and rotifers, so different microscopic animals. They're pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a teacher, and he is partnered up with a science group here called the Worm Herders, who are doing some studying over in the dry valleys. Yeah, do you want to tell us super quick about it, and then I'll share my project with you?
We hop on helicopters and go straight across the ice out there, about a 40-minute helicopter ride to what's known as the dry valleys. It's like the driest part of the driest continent, and we are studying the most numerous animals, land animals out there, and they are little microscopic worms and tardigrades and rotifers, so different microscopic animals. They're pretty neat.
Yeah, it's been super interesting to meet you and get to know about your project. So
It's super fun.
yeah. So this project, my geography teacher friend friend in Alaska. Yeah, it's been super interesting to meet you and get to know about your project. So
Super fun.
yeah. So this project, my geography teacher friend in Alaska, she worked with students to redesign the Antarctic flag and then mailed them down here to me. So can we open this up
Let's
together?
do it.
I haven't even seen it.
Excited.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. No, because it stopped. The back stopped showing
Okay.
film.
Sometimes I just touch it
Oh,
with my. Sometimes it just goes to sleep, but it should.
Oh, okay, but it's
It
still
just
going.
is.
Okay, all right.
Okay, we're still rolling? No emergency? All right, excellent. Okay, so let's see what students have sent us here.
Fun.
I'm excited to see it. Ooh, and the flags say going to Antarctica. So these flags have come all the way from Alaska down here to Antarctica. Let's take a quick peek. And then we got to get out of this wind. The Antarctic wind is serious, kids. Woo! Ooh! Ponton and some stars. Oh, these are gorgeous.
Beautiful.
So, before they did this lesson, we've done some work on flags and flag symbolism. So I'm really seeing how these flags so far are very simple design. That's one good design element of flags. They're easy to be seen from a distance. Strong symbolism in colors. Ooh, just loving these flags. Ooh, wind's gonna blow 'em away. Penguins. Oh, hey kids, there was a penguin right out there today. I didn't see it, but one of my friends did. Right out on the sea ice. We'll find it. We're gonna find that penguin. Oh, very nice. Check these out. Oh, cool. So pretty. Snowflakes. Yeah, we got a lot of snow here. I'm wondering if this is the Trans-Antarctic mountain range, which is also just right there. More snowflakes. You know, it snows here occasionally, but it never really accumulates. It's kind of funny. At least in the summer. We're here in the Antarctic summer. Ooh, so pretty.
He's hanging up in the middle.
Yeah, so actually what I'm thinking of doing is taking these flags around to all the different work centers here so that kids can learn a little bit about the jobs that are done here on the continent with whales. We're hoping to see whales when the sea ice goes out. And so I'll see if some of my friends around the different departments would be happy to take pictures with flags, maybe tell students a little bit about what their work is like down here. Because in addition to scientists, there's also a lot of people who have to run the galley. We have a fire department. We have a vehicle maintenance facility. We have janitorial, which is where I work. Oh, look at that penguin. There
Hospital.
are people who run, yes, we have medical facility. There's people who run communications who are in contact with science teams that are out on the sea ice or on the continent. Oh, we're back to the first one. And so, yeah. I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. Maybe I can even see if the worm herders would be willing to take a picture of the flag. Maybe in your lab over in the science lab.
Oh yeah.
Would we be able to make that work?
Beautiful.
Wonderful,
Come over and see us.
wonderful. Okay, sounds great. Thank you for letting me share this project with you.
Thanks for letting us do that.
Absolutely. See ya. Maybe I can even see if the worm herders would be willing to take a picture of the flag. Maybe in your lab over in the science lab.
Oh yeah.
Would we be able to make that work?
Beautiful.
Wonderful,
Come over and see
wonderful. Okay, sounds great. Thank you for letting me share this project with you.
Thanks for letting us do that.
Absolutely. See ya.
Thanks for letting us do that.
Absolutely. See ya. this lesson, we've done some work on flags and flag symbolism, strong symbolism.
We hop on helicopters and go straight across the ice out there, about a 40-minute helicopter ride to what's known as the dry valleys. It's like the driest part of the driest continent, and we are studying the most numerous animals, land animals out there, and they are little microscopic worms.
To provide a brief synopsis of this section, you can see the blatant mockery in the description of the dry valleys and their similarities with the surface of Mars. And when you look at those images, the dry valleys of Antarctica look very similar to what is presented by NASA as genuine images of the surface of Mars. The mockery is off the charts. And then you can also see with Dickerson, who is explaining his so-called job on the continent as a researcher of microscopic organisms in the dry valleys of Antarctica. He blatantly said he is studying numerous land animals in the driest, coldest continent or land area on Earth. And there is supposed to be an abundance of land animals. What a joke. And it's all to tie in the fakery of NASA with the fakery of Antarctica, and the fakery that surrounds both of them is movie magic that is brought to life through film sets, such as the film sets that were used to record the fake NASA moon landings, film sets that are used, and the CGI and the special effects that are used to film fake Antarctica. The fake stories, the fake science, it all ties in together because Antarctica fakery ties in with space fakery. Fake satellites, fake animals, fake research, and they're all getting a kick out of it at your expense. more blatant mockery, besides the fact that there seems to be a layering CGI issue here where the background looks completely fake compared to what is in the foreground. You can see that this researcher slash worker's name is Ryan, and they are claiming that Ryan is currently wintering over at South Pole. Now, if you were to not even look more closely at his name, you would almost assume that his name is Rain, because it pretty much is. It is an anagram of rain. All you have to do is switch the I and the A, the place of the I and the A, and you have rain. You can see the subtle mockery that they are engaged in, because of course it never rains at what they claim to be the geographical South Pole. Even during the summer, it is extremely cold at the geographical South Pole, according to them. In fact, the average high, even during the summer, is around 0 degrees. And according to the official numbers, the record high is around 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, if you were to look at Ryan's name, have you ever seen a Ryan that is spelled R-I-A-N? I doubt you have ever seen a Ryan spelled R-I-A-N. The mockery is blatant and in your face. More subtle mockery here. You can see in the first image, they claim this is a picture taken from a webcam at McMurdo. The second image, they admit, is a CGI drawing of a future building that is going to be constructed on the site, supposedly. But upon further inspection, both images are in fact fake. Both images are in fact CGI. And the subtle mockery is that they claim the first image is real and the second image is fake. And they basically put them side by side to laugh at anybody that would be naive enough to not be able to see that the first image is in fact a drawing and or CGI as well. In fact, if you just look a little bit at the first photo, it's clearly grainy, low quality CGI. This is an intelligence test, and they know most of the masses will fall for it, just as they fall for all the other lies on television and all the other lies on the internet. They present to you an image of fake space that they will claim to be real, and then in the next breath show another image that they claim to be a CGI representation. And the ultimate mockery is that it's all fake and it's all CGI, a fake station in Antarctica, just like the fake International Space Station in space. It's all part of the same lie, and it's all part of the same process of mockery. Now, I'm going to show you the official webcams that are presented by the government, the USAP, as the official webcams at McMurdo Station. And you will see that they are all either cheap CGI or what appears to be a small miniature set of figurines and buildings like you would design and showcase for a model, a future model design of a city or a piece of infrastructure. When you look more closely at this webcam, you will realize that the webcams at McMurdo Station and the rest of the stations that they present to us as stations in Antarctica are nothing more than 30, 50, 90-second, etc. loops of images. As you can see here, it says that this webcam is refreshing every 30 seconds. So this is not live footage of anywhere in Antarctica or anywhere on Earth. This, what you're seeing here, is either CGI or some sort of model for figurines. In fact, when you even do a close-up of the station, you can see how fake it looks. You can see how everything looks like miniature toys or figurines, like they would have used on a cheap movie set for Godzilla or something like that. This is the observation hill. And once again, you can see it's not a real webcam. It is just an image that supposedly refreshes every 30 seconds. Once again, it looks like some sort of miniature figurines, a mixture of miniature figurines and or CGI. Nothing about this looks like a genuine webcam of an actual location on Earth or Antarctica or anywhere. Once again, another time looping image every 30 seconds. Why can they not just show an actual webcam? And look how grainy this truly is. Why is the picture quality so low in 2025? Are we not supposed to have high definition cameras? Does this look real to you? This is the webcam at South Pole Station, looping every 90 seconds, and you can just see how incredibly fake this looks. This is even lower resolution than the webcams at McMurdo. And once again, it's only refreshing every 90 seconds. What are we even looking at here? Once again, refreshing every 90 seconds. And why is the lighting so bright for the radio telescope image? This looks like it is much brighter in the day than the first webcam of South Pole Station. And of course, it looks completely fake. And once again, it looks completely fake, regardless of the lighting. Now, this is the last webcam. And you can see they insert more fakery here. Once again, it looks like there is some sort of a CGI or special effects layering effect here with these so-called icebergs, which are clearly fake upon closer inspection. And here, the last bit of mockery is, of course, the penguins. As you can see, it is not even a live webcam of penguins. It is an image that is refreshing every 10 seconds. If you believe this is proof of anything, then perhaps you need to get your brain examined. more clear mockery with the PPs, the penguin poop that we saw earlier, and now the Janos in ano. ANO means anus in Spanish. And what is Miss O'Leary's job at McMurdo, the MM? It is the PP and the poo-poo cleanup, the waste management, the anus, the waste management coming from the ano, the ANO, the anus. That is the mockery in the poo-poo and Miss O'Leary's big job down at McMurdo is cleaning up the anus because she is a Jano. Now, on the Antarctica McMurdo cruise ship video from Miss Leary, this was the only comment on the video. Keep in mind that these videos did not get many views or comments or anything. This is a very small and obscure channel, yet they are still using all of the hoax codes, all of the mockery, and they are all what is known as community-based agents or psyopers in the club. But despite all that, they are still club members. Okay, so this is a club member, and he is here explaining his trip to Antarctica. A lot of it is just small talk. Let's get to what is important. He says, when I was a young child in the 50s, I became interested in Antarctica by reading the National Geographic magazine, which is the same mainstream mind control programming that Miss O'Leary said got her interested in geography in that fake news clip from that fake news station. So you see how these club members operate here blatantly, talking about their love for National Geographic and the mainstream media, television, mainstream programming and lies. He says one of the most memorable experiences was going out to Cape Crucier to the Adelaide Penguin cookery to tear down a Jamesway, but a more permanent structure to house since doing research. So there is the CC, Cape Crozier, and the Penguins. Penguin Fakery and the CC, the 33. So CC, 33, and Penguin Fakery. And this guy's name is Merlin Berg. Some sort of a fake name, presumably, or coded name. As an iceberg, Merlin Berg, the mockery, it never ends. And then, of course, Miss Leary responds and mentions the CC, the Cape Crozier. Now, she is spelling it differently, but still, the CC is what she mentions, because these are both club members communicating signs and symbols with each other. Now, let's watch a interview with Merlin Berg. Yes, in fact, he was interviewed by another club member, another, let's just say, perhaps Masonic club member, about his travels to Antarctica. So this video interviewing Merlin Berg is titled 360 Men. So there's your 666 coding. There are no comments on this video and 42 views.
Arizona to talk another story with Merlin Berg. This time we're going to learn about his adventures in Antarctica.
You want a story or a tale?
Yeah, there's a distinction. You guys got to learn that when you sit with old men, you got to discern between their long tails and their other wicked features. They don't always tell you the truth, do they? Huh? They tell you what they remember.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so
you see the obvious mockery here on the part of the interviewer, who was talking about they don't always tell the truth, and talking about tales and stories. Now, the definition of a tale is a fictitious or true narrative or story, especially one that is imaginatively recounted, so otherwise known as a lie. And we are all familiar with the saying, a tall tale. And what is a tall tale? It is a fictitious story. A tall tale is an account that is fictitious, fanciful, and difficult to believe. So, yes, a tale can be an exaggeration of the truth or deceit. And obviously, that's what this is, a tall tale, a story, a lie, a deception. And the duper's delight is all over the face of the interviewer.
okay, so I wanted to know about Antarctica.
Oh,
we talked about, the Berg.
Yeah.
Merlin Berg. Iceberg.
Yeah.
Oh, we did that the last time.
They are compatible. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so tell when.
So there's the duper's delight on the face of Merlin Berg.
So tell when.
Compatible. Yeah.
Okay, so tell.
The duper's delight on his face as he's about to tell these lies about Antarctica.
When did you go to Antarctica?
Oh boy, I can't remember the year exactly, but
it was winter.
Well, yeah, I was. Well, let me explain all that, how that works. I got a friend of mine I was actually living with at the time came home from a party and said he met this guy and he was looking for guys to hire to go to Antarctica. And so he gave me his contact, and I called him on Monday morning, and I was sitting in his office within 2 hours.
You wanted to go.
I wanted to go.
You went to Antarctica after you were a submariner.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
so if you want to learn about him being a torpedo man stuck in those little, anyway, there's a link in the description.
That's another story.
Yeah, another tale.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Did you just hear what he said?
Little, anyway, there's a link in the description.
That's another story.
Yeah, another tale.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
And there's the duper's delight on the face of the interviewer and the face of Merlin Berg, because a tale is a tall tale. They are putting the truth right in your face that this is a fake bullshit account, a story, a tall tale. And there's their duper's delight, laughing at the masses.
You know, growing up, Antarctica was one of my favorite subjects. My grandma would send National Geographic magazine as a Christmas present every year. And that was back in the 50s when there was a lot of activity, exploration going on in Antarctica.
And here they are showing all of these fake CGI artist renditions of fake Antarctica. All CGI, all fake drawings.
Love to read the articles, and I said, boy, I want to go to Antarctica someday. Well, when opportunity knocks, you gotta go.
And there's more duper's delight.
So you just remind me, there's a saying that people call you really lucky, but it's actually when preparation meets opportunity, you call it luck. So you'd already been prepared.
Well,
right?
I was available.
Yeah, and well, in your head,
another CGI image.
You've already been thinking about being there for a long time, right?
I wanted to, yeah. I made the trip, and I flew out of, I don't know where was it, up in San Francisco area anyway, military airport there. And then we flew to Christchurch, New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
And now they're mentioning the CC again, Christ Church, CC 33. And Christ Church is a mockery of Christ, which is another hoax code they use all the time. Is people with the name Christ or places and things with the name Christ in them, in their unbelievable stories.
Christchurch is kind of the jumping off spot for American servicemen and scientists. You get all your winter gear and your winter coat and your boots and your insulated pants. And so
when you went down, was it
insulated pants? And
more duper's delight. Is he laughing because he went on a ski trip, or is this just another tall tale?
When you went down, was it summer or winter?
Well, it was considered summer because I went down in I think about November that year.
So the southern hemisphere's
it's
summer.
Yeah.
Right, it's the opposite of the northern. Okay.
Right, yeah,
but that's when the days are longer.
Yeah, right, and that's why, in Antarctica during the summer, the sun doesn't really go down.
Incredibly fake-looking image, extreme mockery, right in your face.
Dims slightly depending on the time during the summer, but it's not. It's definitely daylight 24/7. Well, anyway, you flew down to Christchurch, got all your winter gear packed and everything on these supplies that you needed there, and then you get several days later, you get on another airplane that actually took you down to McMurdo Bay in Antarctica. Now, McMurdo is the Navy had a long ice runway. I know it was probably 2 or 3 miles long. They could land wheeled aircraft on, and then right there, then you were right.
When you say ice, there's no pavement. It's just frozen ice. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, there was no asphalt. And then if you were going to fly to any of the interior places like the South Pole, or you would get on a plane that had skis on it, C-130 with skis on it, and they would fly scientists and Navy crewmen and everybody, around the continent from there.
So, what in the world did you go down there for? It wasn't just to eat the food like the submariner stuff, right?
No, that was good food, though.
Oh yeah, I heard. I heard they get sick and tired of lobster down there. Is what they get tired of. Send us some regular burgers.
Yeah.
More duper's delight. They get tired of the lobster.
For it wasn't just to eat the food like the submariner stuff, right?
No, that was good food, though.
Oh yeah, I heard. I heard they get sick and tired of lobster down there. Is what they get tired of. Send us some regular burgers.
Yeah.
Is this a luxury ski resort? Some sort of a 5-star, all-inclusive luxury ski resort where they are eating lobster and steak all day? Is that what they are laughing about at this ski resort? Possibly.
Especially the food is a kind of an interesting subject because, all winter long, planes don't come in. So when the first plane comes in the fall, or fall or summer, which is around Labor Day, boy, they bring in vegetables, and I tell you, you'd think everybody on that station was a vegetarian.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also thinking about the last plane out. Mommy, it's like a little kid at camp. Right?
Well, the last plane out flies back over McMurdo, and then it flips its wings like that, so saying, "So long, you suckers." Yeah.
Did you just hear that? He said the last airplane of the season flips its wings and says, "So long, suckers." And planes are sometimes referred to as birds. So more mockery. Flipping you the bird is what he is trying to say.
And then it flips its wings like that, so saying, "So long, you suckers." Anyway, it's an interesting place to be in the wintertime. But that's the other part of my story. But anyway, what I did my first trip there is I drove a Tucker Snowcat, a big box style snowcat, and we had in the snowcat, I was the driver, mechanic, and we had some scientists that were studying seismology and glacial layers and stuff like that. Yeah. And we went out to Bird Station. Now, Bird Station is
how's that spelled? B-Y-R-D?
Yeah, after Admiral Byrd, who was one of the early explorers in Antarctica. And it's kind of an interesting facility because of the explorers in Antarctica.
So more mockery here because he obviously knows that this Merlin character is referring to Admiral Byrd, one of the first explorers by the U.S. military to Antarctica, and it sounds like the word bird, B-I-R-D, and B-I-R-D equals 33 in basic numerology.
One of the early explorers in Antarctica, and it's kind of an interesting facility because it was dug out. They dug out a trench, a big deep trench, and then built these hoop. What do you call them? They're Quonset huts.
Yeah.
These hoop what do you call them? They're
Quonset.
Then built these hoop.
And there it is again with the poo-poo and the pee-pee, mentioning building a poop hut or a bathroom, I believe.
Hoop, what do you call them? They're
Quonset huts
inside. And then they moved in some buildings that were warm, well insulated, and that's where people worked and lived. And so you were in this underground facility.
Rat's cave. What do they call it? Maze.
Yeah,
literally
exactly.
a maze under the ice, right? Yeah.
And my job there was wintered over, stayed through, the last plane leaves and.
Okay, whoa! I get. He just glosses over it. I wintered over. That's like going to the freaking Mars or the moon or something. You're like total darkness.
Yeah.
Total unbearable to be outside, right?
Well,
now here is the ultimate mockery and admission of what is going on. The interviewer says it's like going to the moon or Mars, implying that this entire trip is as fake as the fake space missions, the fake moon landings, the fake space travel, the fake Mars rovers, the fake planned missions to Mars, and he even mentions Mars and the moon. MM, Master Mason. Just like McMurdo, MM.
it's Antarctica's when they get
Space fakery is directly associated with Antarctica fakery because it's all done through movie magic, film sets, CGI, and tall tales, such as the tall tale that Merlin Berg is telling here. And Berg is the hoax code. Just like the Titanic was sunk by an iceberg. And just like the Hindenburg blimp went up in flames, two major hoaxes of the 20th century and of modern times.
It gets dark. It's kind of like, it's like evening, early evening, and then nighttime. And it takes about, a month or so to transition to that period.
Yeah.
And likewise, around Labor Day, it starts getting light again, and it's a different situation, and it does take. You gotta be able to deal with that, and that's one of the challenges of getting people to stay the winter and so that they can.
You got to be able to get along with other people. You can't exactly
you got to. Well,
Bad Merlin, sit on an iceberg, send you outside. That's a death sentence, basically.
We had a lot of fun with the Navy guys. And,
one of the lessons that you've learned? Something young guys need to know.
Well, when you take off to Antarctica, you got to be willing to, endure it, and it's a different lifestyle, and you got to be able to be flexible and be able to handle that isolation.
You make pretty good friendships?
Oh yeah, I have some really good friends that I made in Antarctica, and it's kind of it's a unique situation. Let's put it that way. Oh yeah, I have some really good friends that I made in Antarctica, and it's kind of it's a unique situation, let's put it that way.
One of the two people that put together the largest the massive online training classes on the internet. It's called Learning How to Learn. She's a gal.
More fakery here. This is another club member. You can see that the skeleton doesn't really seem to match the claimed gender, and of course the orange background.
Gal wintered over.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and so that goes to say.
Or duper's delight on the face of the interviewer.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and so that goes to say here, spend the winter in Antarctica and develop a great character.
Yeah.
You hear what he said. Spend a winter in Antarctica and develop a great character, as in a fake persona, as in an actor. And there is the duper's delight again on both of their faces, because that's what they all are.
Another interesting tale from Merlinburg.
And there it is again, another tall tale.
When you sit with old men, you got to discern between their long tails and their other wicked features. They don't always tell you the truth, do they?
Huh?
They tell you what they remember.
Yeah, okay.
They don't always tell you the truth, do they?
The next video that is going to be shown from Miss Leary's channel is titled Icebergs and $1 Million Landscapes in Greenland. So more berg psyops. And Miss O'Leary shows the fake CGI icebergs that you will see in this video from Greenland. And it should be obvious to you by now that Miss Leary is allowed to travel to places that seem to be restricted to the rest of the public, that need permission to visit such places.
everyone. So I'm here at Rainbow Springs Nature Park in Rotorua, New Zealand on the North Island, and I was trying to accomplish my mission of seeing a kiwi, and I did, except I can't take any photos in there. So 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 I have some photos to share with you from the museum section and a little information, so hopefully you guys enjoy this. Thank you for sending me on mission number 2. It was fun. Here's a fun little sculpture, not little actually, quite a large sculpture of a kiwi. They're not quite this big. I am not that tall, and this one is bigger than me, but they were a little bigger than I thought, and they kind of hop around a little bit, which is sort of funny. And with their beak, they just peck in the dirt, and that's how they get their food. So look at the pictures. The most interesting fact that I learned was the size of their egg. It's quite fascinating. So take a look in the pictures, and I'll also leave a website in the comments for places that you can learn a little more about this national bird of New Zealand. So take care. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Behringer's class, for sending me on this mission to learn a little more about the kiwi bird, the national bird of New Zealand, and also the nickname of people who are from New Zealand. They call themselves Kiwis. So, hope you enjoyed the pictures, hope you learned a little bit. Now, I am going to go on a Splash Mountain ride because they have one here. And why not? It looks like fun. So, hope I don't get too wet. Have a great day, everyone. See you later. Hi again, everyone. Miss O'Leary here. So today I am sitting looking for platypus, and I know they are in there because there are bubbles everywhere all over this section. They will reveal themselves soon, but I think they're taking a nap. So I thought I would take a second and tell you about my first mission. Mrs. Behringer gave me this mission before I left Alaska, and it was to cuddle a koala. So enjoy this next little segment because this is for Mrs. Behringer. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I know I sure did. That was really fun to cuddle the koala. I actually got to see a couple in the wild the other day as well. That one that I cuddled obviously was in a zoo, and I would never cuddle one in the wild because that is inappropriate behavior towards wild animals. So, still no platypus here. They will reveal themselves soon, but I think they're taking a nap. Still no platypus here. But I hope you enjoyed that mission. Stay tuned for more missions. Talk to your teachers about that. And you can also follow me on social media at Pursuing 7.
for updates on my travels, or you can ask any questions about the continents that I'm traveling in right now. So cheers. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.
It appears that many of the job listings for work in McMurdo are posted on this website that has links to Alaska. Is it possible that Alaska has ties to Antarctica, Greenland, and other places where they are hoaxing winter or Arctic types of climates, Arctic and Antarctic types of climates? It is interesting that Miss Leary traveled to Antarctica and is from a place that is very cold, such as Alaska. Is Alaska a military psyop in large part, seeing as there are many large military installations in Alaska? Kodiak, for instance. And Miss Leary even mentions service in the military. Is this a military psyop? Half of Miss Leary's students are from military families. Is this school in Alaska one of these schools that is so commonly featured on the news for these unbelievable events? Now I will provide one final theory that perhaps McMurdo Station and perhaps other stations are located near the Diomedes in Alaska, between the Little and Big Diomede area, or just beyond, an area that is also restricted to the public.
They tell us that Russia is visible from Alaska, but the only thing you can see from Alaska is an island called Big Diomede, which is in front of the smaller island from Alaska's side called Diomede. The island called Big Diomede, which is supposedly part of Russia, is guarded with military personnel just like Antarctica. I wonder why.
Do any people live on that rock?
Yep, you see the highest place up there?
Yeah.
They're watching us right now. There's a shitload of border guards over there.
Oh, they're watching?
I wouldn't go over there. They'll get their dogs loose and they'll come ski after you. They're fast.
So they're up on top of the mountain, huh?
Yep, and they go down it in minutes. They're going down that slope. There's a fast bunch of young men over there.
So they're actually Russians or the natives over there?
Military.
The military.
Guards, yep.
Big Little Diomede. I didn't go to Big Diomede because it's on the Russian side. They got about 200 military troops there. It's a military base over there.
On this particular globe, we have the purple line